Good evening, and Cade Mila Falcha to another episode of the Late Late Show with me, Irish Tommy. Obviously, this is going to be a very interesting one. There's an awful lot at stake for the club this weekend, and with that in mind, I've brought a couple of people in, and I really want to hear their opinions. First up, one I'm very excited about, actually, someone whose opinions I really like and who I actually feel I align with on a lot of things. So I've got him on because I really want to hear what he has to say about this game and about the situation with David Moyes. A lot of you, I'm sure, will already know him, and it is Nick.
Hello, hello. How are you, Tommy?
Very good, Nick. Listen, thanks very much for joining me.
That's all right, mate. No, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you've bailed me out a few times, and I've gone live solo. Do you remember? I was panicking a bit.
Yeah, I remember. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm calling all the favors in.
Yeah.
So before we get started, mate, why don't you tell the viewers a little about you and where they can find you?
I'm Nick. I'm from Claret and Booze, the YouTube channel, Claret and Booze. We've been going now for about a year. We do daily shows, sort of daily rambles. Not so much news delivery. It's more just our random opinions on things, really, and stuff like that. And we do live shows. So we do match reviews, and we do the big Claret and Booze Up, which is a weekend show where we invite lots of people on to give their opinion. So yeah, been going for a year. It's going very well. And Tommy, you're one of our guests. You've been on there a few times, haven't you?
Yeah, been on a few times. I'll talk about West Ham all day, every day, mate. So anytime anyone invites me on to have my say, give my opinions, I'm happy to do it. So it's actually fantastic to be able to return the favour, Nick. And I think we'll have a nice, lively discussion this evening. A lot at stake this weekend.
Absolutely.
So for all of you listening there, watching, just go over there, Claret and Booze, and like and subscribe and have a look at the videos. There's some great content over there. My next guest barely needs an introduction. You've all seen him. You never know where he's going to turn up. But I'm lucky enough to have him here tonight. Luke, how are you, mate?
That was the nicest introduction anyone has ever given me, ever, officially on this channel. So I'm very happy to be here now. So thank you very much.
Hello, Luke.
Yeah, I could have done a lot worse. Could have called you Wish De Gea.
Mate, it's fine. Lie through your teeth and make me feel pretty. It's fine. It's lovely. It's great. I'll take it all day long. Thank you very much.
You kind of embraced the De Gea thing, didn't you, Luke? You kind of do.
I've had to. Otherwise, I could get another bullying. So for me, you have to make positives out of negatives. He's not the worst looking person in the world either, is he? So
no,
there you go.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, so look, I suppose you've seen the title here, Wolves at the Door. Obviously, a little play on words.
Of course.
The Wolves are at the door at the moment for Moyes, and he's got to start getting results. And first and foremost, he's got to start getting results. But I think, he's in trouble. I think big trouble if things continue as they are and tomorrow. And I think the fear, Nick, or one of the fears, is that Moyes is incapable of doing what needs to be done to turn this season around. He's got a nasty habit of digging his heels in.
Yeah.
He tends to play the players that he likes and trusts regardless of form.
Yeah.
He tends to stick to the approach that is tried and trusted for him, regardless of whether the results are coming that way or not. And so the question remains for Moyes, is he capable of turning this around, Nick? And frankly, I'm skeptical, if I'm honest.
Look, he's capable. Is he capable? Look, he's got the tools that to be able to turn this around. I don't quite know what has been stopping him. I mean, his stubbornness has gone to a whole new level this year. I think it's been really exposed with the new players that have come in. We had the excuses in the past year or so because, where he didn't make many changes because he didn't have a big squad, didn't have players that he trusted on the bench. That's different now. He's brought all these players in. If you go back to January where he said, I'm only going to buy players that are better than what I've got, players that can come in and affect the first team. Well, he's just gone out in the summer and bought how many players and how many are getting in? And all of this kind of bedding in nonsense as well, with the likes of, you said it before, with the likes of Scamacca, an Italian, the Italian starting number 9. I just kind of, I'm worried for him because look, anyone that's watched my channel will know I've arrived at Moyes out. That's been and gone after Everton. That's where I'm standing, and I did have a knee-jerk reaction, but I'm kind of I'm standing by it. I am standing by it, and the only way that can and will change is if Moyes changes. So for me tomorrow, because people have been saying, if we scrape a win, that'll buy him time. I'm not so sure that it will. If he sticks to the same formula, if he does what he's been doing, and we shit house a 1-0 win, that's not good enough. I almost would prefer him to try something completely different, take all of those players that have been underperforming, and let's be honest, shafting him this season. If you look at the running stats, I don't know why he's being loyal to them, because they're not helping him out. So he's sticking with the same players all the time. And if he tried something different and we played really good football, and even if we lost, that's the type of thing that I want to see tomorrow. I don't want to see, because I think if he sticks to the same formula, then what he's displaying is that if we do get a result against a really poor Wolves team, it's no more than it'll be a dead cat bounce. That's all it'll be, because we won't be any further ahead. We're still going to have more questions and answers. So it's really, really nervous for 4:30 tomorrow when that notification pops up on my screen and that squad list comes out, because I think we all know what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, one of the things you touched on there, and one of the things that drives me mad about David Moyes is this bedding in bullshit that he keeps going on about. Because the funny thing is, he was forced into throwing one player in, which was Thilo Kehrer, because we had virtually nobody else there to play as centre back. He had to put Kehrer in immediately after signing him.
Absolutely.
So Kehrer has kind of come in and disproved David Moyes' own theory about slowly, gradually introducing players. And Thilo Kehrer has come in and hit the ground running.
He's proved how you bet a player in. His first game was shit. His second game weren't great. His third, and he got better and better and better. That's how you bet a player into a team and into the Premier League. You play them and just let them get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. Where are you on this, Luke? I mean, are you worried that David Moyes won't turn this around, or do you still have some faith there that he'll get it right?
I want him to get it right. The last thing I want to do is sack a manager, especially a manager who's done so well for us since he's come to the club, and he's letting himself down as much. It's a lot of people have been making comparisons during the international break that him and Southgate were in the same camp. And I think it's little things like we saw the other night against Germany when he brought Maguire on, because it almost felt like he had to bring Maguire on. He wanted to bring Maguire on. He was like, no, he's got to play at some point, so I'll bring him on now. And then he made a mistake and whatever like that. So there is a lot of nonsense from Moyes. I think it's an arrogant nonsense that a lot of managers get into. And there's going to be, I don't like saying this about fans. I know fans can be fickle. But there's a part of me that thinks that there's going to be a lot of West Ham fans tomorrow that aren't going to be particularly happy if we get a win tomorrow, because it means that Moyes is a bit more comfortable in a manager's seat. Now, I'm not saying that's a lot of West Ham fans, but for my mind, there's a lot of negative fans out there, and it doesn't take them very much to become negative. And if you go to the game tomorrow, for example, there's a ticket going for me for tomorrow, and I'm inviting a mate of mine who's never been to West Ham before, and I was all like excited to say, "Come West Ham, come with me, enjoy the day and stuff like that." And at the back of my head, I'm thinking, but how toxic is the atmosphere going to be?
Exactly.
Is it going to be one of those one going, come on, if we score a goal, something like that? But thinking, I've been there when it's toxic and when West Ham are playing terrible. We might even be winning, and if the performance is as bad as it can be, it's not only is it toxic on the pitch, it's toxic in the stands, and that's not what you want. So Moyes might get a win tomorrow. Moyes might bed in or play the same players or play different players and whatever. But it's almost like, okay, if Moyes does put out 5 or 6 players that everyone wants to see, if he plays Cornet, if he plays Skamaka, if he even plays Downs in front of Suchek, just for the sake of our argument, but he's still got the same crappy performance because Moyes doesn't want him to play a different way than he wants West Ham to play, you're still going to get a rigid performance and be potentially a bad result with it again,
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, funnily enough, the reaction from the crowd tomorrow evening might have less to do with the actual final score than it does with Moyes' approach to the game.
You'll get an idea.
If we see the same safe, tepid kind of defensive approach to the game, and we, as you say, we shithouse a 1-0. I don't think that's going to make too many fans happy. Sure, we'll be a very useful 3 points, and we'll be happy with the win, but we still won't see any real positives from the approach. Whereas if Moyes goes out and, let's say, goes 4-3-3, puts Kerr at right back, brings Dawson in at centre back, plays Downs, Paqueta, Rice in the midfield three, plays Cornet, Benrahma, Scamacca up front, and really gets after Wolves and has a go, and we lose it 3-2 or something. At least the fans, I think, then will say, okay, we lost it, but at least we're starting to see that he's capable of getting after teams and trying to have a go, and he's actually trying something. He might get a bit more credit for doing that than winning a shithouse 1-0 with the same 11 players that lost to Everton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think so. I mean, it's a lot of it is going to be down to what people want to see change. Okay, I think that's really important with David Moyes tomorrow. And look, I don't know what type of pressure he's actually feeling. Do you think with him, is it just points? Do you think with David Moyes, do you think if he'll just be thinking, if I can just get the points on the board, then all these other problems will go away? Or do you think David Moyes is actually concerned with the level of performances? So I don't think that he is. I think David Moyes, I don't think he's one. I don't think he's impressed by fancy football. I don't think he's that type of manager. I think he's got an ethos and a way of looking at the game, and he has got a philosophy, and it works because, like I say, the way he sets the team out, Tommy and Luke, is defensive. So that's why we don't see tactical shifts, because the way he sets the team up, it should be enough to make anyone's life difficult. It's all about stopping the other team playing, and that's why we don't see much, and that's why there's not many changes, and that's why when we're not sharp going forward, and the counter attacks aren't paying off, it's just it's dead, it's flat. That's the trouble.
Yeah,
Go on, Luke.
I worry a little bit, Luke, as well. But that now I know a press conference, it's a public statements, and managers are always going to be a bit cagey about what they say, and maybe won't say it's things that they really feel privately often. But a lot of the stuff coming out of his mouth is that he doesn't seem overly concerned with performances.
No.
He seems to feel like we've been a bit unlucky. He talks about, we're doing a lot of things right, doing a lot of things well, and we're just a bit unlucky, and that, it'll turn. Our bad luck will run out, and maybe we'll start getting some good luck, and we'll start getting the points we deserve. And that seems to be where his head is at. And it just seems to me that, maybe he's not really getting it. Luke, you know what I mean? He's not really quite aware of how bad some of the players are playing, and how bad some of the performances have really been.
Souček's a case in point, isn't he? The fact that he probably will be in the team again tomorrow.
I expect so.
It will be. Honestly, I can't give money through the screen, but I will give.
He'll be back in the same tomorrow.
The thing, I don't know if anyone saw the press conference after the Everton. I presume it was after the Everton game. I think I keep remembering a few weeks back now. They called him Moyes. One of the reporters called him Moyes.
Bad, wasn't it? His reaction.
And I'm not being funny, right? If you ever hear a nervous laugh or someone that's under pressure, that was a nervous laugh, and he was like, and then no one none of the reporters reacted to it. They were like, well, yeah, because it is like that bad. But that is almost. There's a lot of things that can go for you, a lot of things that can't. A little while ago, Benzema, the forward for Real Madrid, he come out and he said, you know what? There's been games where I've played terrible. I've had really poor games, but I've scored 2 goals. And everyone said I played really good, and I'm ahead of the stats, and I'm still top of the leaderboard as goal scorers. And I think sometimes that's where managers like Moyes will go, well, Souček did perform poorly for 89 minutes, but then right at the end, he got 2 headers that were almost saved because we were chucking the ball in the box. And, that's what I want to see from our player. I want to see him chucking the head of the ball and trying to get a goal. Yeah. And I'm sure most people on Twitter have seen it. There's loads of different clips that you can see of where West Ham messed up passes of play, and Souček's a culprit for a number of them. And there's one where Rice is chucking his hands in the air, and Souček's chucking his hand. He's done, what have I done here? I've given the pass away, but no one's chasing after the ball. Yeah. And there's so much that's come out recently. The interesting thing, I don't know if anyone ever realises this, but when players go off to international duty, they have this weird thing where they forget that the world is still listening to them. So Paqueta will go to Brazil, and Kera will go to Germany, and Ben Rama will go to Algeria, for example, and they'll be interviewed by I don't know, national press about how the career's going, and they'll always say something about what's going on at their club. Like it's almost like they're not talking about it, but they'll hint at it.
Yeah.
Whereas they would never be that open when they're back at the club, and that's when sometimes you get an inkling of what's going on back at the club. And I've heard a few things that the camp isn't very. No one talks to each other apparently at the club. It's very quiet.
That was Scamacca, wasn't it?
That was the one I was thinking of. Yeah, he's the Mancini, the Italy head coach. He's not very happy with the amount of game time. The thing with me is I don't know about anyone else, but I actually fully expected Scamacca to be the number 2 striker. I always knew that he was coming in as a number 2 striker, and it's one of the reasons why I think, well, we didn't get Broja, so Moyes has gone, right, I'll have to get Scamacca in, I'll have to get someone in, because obviously you boys want me to get another striker in. Antonio's thinking, hallelujah, I'll get some rest at some point. But then straight away, like I said to many people, there seems to be that Conference League team and the Premier League team, and that's pretty much it, which is that's pretty much almost like the same as last year. He's got a like I said before in other few videos, he said in an interview, he's evolved as a coach. He's become he's learned different ways of being a coach, and he was great when it was all positive. Now he's got to re-evolve himself.
He's reverted back, mate. I mean,
yeah.
And the thing what you was talking about with Scamacca as well, where he does he looks at output and he misses all the bit in the middle. So you could honestly say, yeah, he plays Souček, because especially earlier on in the season, in the first few games, Souček was getting all the chances. I mean, how many chances did he miss in the first few games? Right? But it's like he was a definite goal threat. But what you fail to understand is that when you put Souček in the team, he's got no forward passing, no passing ability. So although Souček's getting chances, because Souček is occupying a place which should be reserved for somebody that can drive the ball forward and create passes for other people, you're restricting chances for other people in the team by putting Souček in there, because you're literally occupying a really important part of the team, the center of the pitch, for somebody that can't play football. I am sorry, it's as simple as that. He's not. He can't.
It's bad, really.
But Luke, his main threat is arriving late to get on the end of a cross or something like that. That's literally it. He's even his combative rates have gone down now. He's not, because I'm sure he was quite a good destroyer when he first came in, wasn't he?
It's a shame the way his game and his overall influence on the thing has dropped. I mean, let's face it. I mean, a year and a half ago maybe, he was getting booted up in the corner, and he's getting his nose bleeding and everything like that. And the fans were saying he's the new Julian Dix. He's an absolute warrior. He just likes chucking his face into the mix and stuff like that. And now. He can't kick a ball. I think there's probably youth players in the under 10s that could probably kick a ball better than he could on the pitch. It's quite interesting. My dad made a point during the Everton game, and he said if you watch when Sefao and Souček get the ball, no Everton players are closing them down. They're marking all the other players because they know that A, Sefao and Souček are going to try and pass the ball to them, and B, they can't. They're not capable of it. Every time the ball goes, for example, the free kick to Sefao, pretty much might as well just pass the ball back to
Soufao's pass success rate lately has been, I mean, like shocking, so bad. If you see actually some of the stats from and again, I don't know what that's about. See, we don't know whether having Soufal playing behind Bowen playing so poorly is affecting Bowen.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, I think that one of the strangest things for me is that, look, we know David Moyes can be very successful with his methods. We've seen it firsthand the last couple of seasons. And many times, we've had a really good run of things. Not haven't been perfect by any means. We've had our little kind of wobbles, and we've had games where we haven't looked so great. But by and large, we were horrible to play against. He made us really horrible to play against. Nobody liked playing us. I mean, we were really in your face. We were physical. We would bully teams into submission. Absolutely bully them. And remember when we came in, he said, if you don't run, you don't play, all that stuff. I mean, he really got us working. It was the exact opposite from what we'd seen in the Pellegrini era. So the big mystery to me, despite the fact, that probably none of us liked the starting 11 against Everton. I mean, that was essentially a starting 11 that had gotten us some very good results, some very good runs of form.
Yeah.
But then when you look at that, right, and I'm particularly talking about 19th in sprints, 20th in tackles, 18th in possession won in the final third, 16th in shots on target, 19th chances created, 19th average possession. If you asked me what manager that was, I would have said Pellegrini.
Yeah, but this is that's gone back, Tom. That those stats are worse than when Moyes took over from Pellegrini. The running stats they're worse. We were down the bottom on a lot of them, but now we are literally, when it comes to anything like that, combative stats, running stats, sprints, we're where we should be.
Yeah, but it's a very bizarre turnaround because it's kind of the opposite of kind of the David Moyes philosophy, as you would explain it to someone.
That doesn't make sense, does it?
Does it not tell you that the team are not playing for him now, though? If that is the case, because if you're where we are, surely it stands to reason we should be trying harder.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd have asked me a year ago, I'd have said this group of players would run through walls for David Moyes.
I used to watch games just purely because I knew. Well, I used to not watch games. I used to enjoy watching games and be excited to watch games. Less than 2 years ago, but probably the last few years, just because I knew we'd be giving it our all. There'd be effort there. The players would be cohesion. There'd be a unit. They'd try to. The football wasn't the prettiest, but you knew that they were giving 100%, and it was nice to watch, regardless of what the result was. It was just that was the bare minimum, and it was great to watch.
Yeah, but the smash and grab stuff was working initially because we took teams by surprise. So teams, when they weren't giving us any respect, they were trying to beat us. So they were playing a bit higher. We were getting in behind them. And David Moyes has identified that doesn't really work anymore because teams do know how to snuff us out. They do know, even though we're bottom three, they still know that we've got a definite risk. So they're not going to allow us to do what we were doing before. But what I will say is the big problem for me, now Paqueta's come in, because the big shock, and I am this season, but historically I've not been, is Benrahma. Benrahma's been probably our best attacker this season. Okay, he's almost turned into the player that we all thought that we had signed from Brentford, and now he was kind of the first opportunity was out the team, and I think you have to get him back in. But the issue that you got is I can't see on any planet that Benrahma and Paqueta are on the same pitch with David Moyes. I don't think those two players will ever get in the same team because I think he looks at them both as like flair players, and David Moyes doesn't want that. The only way he'll do that is if he regresses Paqueta into a bit of a deeper central midfielder.
I find this interesting because apparently
people are calling him. They're saying that he's a number 8, aren't
they? They're saying that he likes to sit next to the holding midfielder, put the tackles in, and then spray the Hollywood balls. Now I know that's obviously international football is a completely different setup to club football, and maybe it does work when Brazil are playing, whoever they're playing in the qualifiers and their version of Nations League or whatever. Be interested to see him in the World Cup actually how he plays for them. But that's what I thought he was going to be the replacement for Lingard because and then all I've heard from not just from West Ham fans but from geezers at Athletic and I think a few BT Sport analysis people and ex-players have said, Paqueta is the perfect man to sit in the middle, win the ball, almost like when Souček, we first signed Souček, the ball winner, and then spray the ball forward.
But the issue is, I mean, that's a lot of money to pay for that type of player. And do you know what? If it terrifies me. It terrifies me because obviously we've all watched the games this season that Paqueta's played. That guy loses the ball a lot. He gets caught in possession. So imagine sticking him in front of your back four. That's the problem. You drop him deeper, he gets caught in possession a lot, Paqueta, because he's always looking for that pass. So I don't know. I don't know whether that would be a good thing or not, dropping him deeper, because he's clearly not. I don't think he hasn't acclimatized yet. We've still got to keep playing him because we've got to make this work. But he's not acclimatized yet to the Premier League pace.
Yeah, clearly. I think Paqueta clearly can play as an 8 or a 10. He played largely as an 8 at Lyon. Plays as number 10 for Brazil.
Right.
So I think ideally you'd want to have Paqueta maybe in a midfield 3. I think maybe in there with Rice and Downs.
Go 4-3-3.
Yeah, I would go 4-3-3 against Wolves tomorrow. I'd have Downs, Paqueta, and Rice in there.
Nice Downs.
Yeah, obviously Downs. Downs is a really good player. I really like him. I think he could be perfect in a midfield 3. I don't know if I necessarily think he'd be brilliant in a 2 alongside Rice. Maybe he would at Premier League level. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I think in the 3, I would happily play Downs. I think he's been there to break up play. He'll put himself about. He'll get stuck in and he'll sit. He'll happily sit and shield the back four. And he's a brilliant passer of a ball. He's not going to keep giving away possession like Souček does.
He turns the ball over, doesn't he? He just turns it over.
Does. Yeah, he'll turn the ball over. He'll win ball back, and then he'll keep it. He'll make the right pass, and then that frees up Declan, of course, to play box to box.
Yeah,
which he's really good at. And then Paqueta, essentially, I would give a free roll to. I think if you've got Rice and Downs in there, I don't think you need to shackle Paqueta as well.
No,
it's a kind of defensive role. I would tell him, look, just go where the space is, go where you can receive the pass.
Yeah,
and then get turned and go and do what you do. And I think that kind of midfield three is something I'd love to see. And I think that's the one that Paqueta could really flourish in.
I think so. But like you've just said there, I'd like to see Downs as well. But you know what? There is a player in this whole setup who I think has been sacrificed and almost ruined in the fan base's eyes by David Moyes, and it's a player that gives 100% every week. But he's shoehorned into the fucking left wing every single week, and that guy is a number 8. Fornals is a number 8. You play him central midfield. He hasn't got the pace to go and be a winger, but Fornals is a talented player. But he's used out on the left wing where he hasn't got the pace to be an offensive winger, so we all think he's shit. But the reason Moyes uses him there is because he's off the ball work, because he chases back, because he tracks back, because he covers Cresswell. But we've still got an amazing player there in Fornals. We have. So although I would love to see Downs in there as well, I think you've also got the option, and this is why it is maddening that Souček still gets in that team, because you've got Downs, like you've just said. You've got Fornals, who is a natural central midfielder, number 8. We've got Rice as well. All of these players, but I can't help it. And it's ridiculous that Souček gets anywhere near that central midfield at the moment. Because he shouldn't.
He'll be in 100%. Beat your ass on it. Just as a side note, there was a little comment a little while back. Thank you to John Carr, who donated or gave us £1.79, and it's very, very kind of you.
Thank you very much, John.
This isn't a Michelle Hansen shout out, like I know everyone likes to remind me that I did that time, but this is just a quick thank you from me, and obviously the channel as well. So it's always nice to receive a bit extra.
There you go.
Cheers.
Lovely. Cheers.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it.
That'll go to all three of us, I think. But 62p each, something like that.
Quick maths.
Yeah, I'm not very good at maths, so we'll move on from that one. Do you know what the saddest thing for me about it is that you got someone like Downs who played really well in the Conference League and showed what he's got, right? But there's a part of me that thinks that Moyes has just gone, he got lucky. Yeah, one game got lucky. I think his reaction to not even give him a game in the next European game, I don't think he could have been happy that he did so well in that game, because there's no reason why he shouldn't have got game time. I mean, in the other one as well, Downs didn't play in that game. Also, Ben Rama didn't. And we all assumed, hang on a minute, maybe they're not being played because they're going to be used against Everton. Well, neither of them were. Mm-hmm. So, with all due respect, what the fuck? 2 players that have been really good when they've come in. We're lacking players that are in form, aren't we? We're definitely lacking players that are in form. You've got 2 players here in Benny and Downs that have looked good when they've come in, and they don't put them in the team. Why?
Yeah,
I'm reading the comments, and there's.
I think the thing that's very frustrating for me, and I kind of was really pissed off after the Everton game because of it. And Moyes, for me, sets up like every single team we play is better than us.
Yes, exactly.
He plays like everyone we play is better than us. He did it at Everton again, and I'm kind of getting sick of it, to be honest. Just the negativity. It's a safety first negative kind of approach, where I just knew Fornals was going to start on the left against Everton. I just knew it. When really, I mean, it absolutely almost has to be Ben Rama up there,
100, especially with the way that he's played this season.
Yeah, I mean, he's arguably been our best player, certainly in attack. And like I say, he can't get on the pitch, and then it brings him on kind of when we're chasing a game, brings on Corney when we're chasing a game, Scamacca when we're chasing a game, and then that was the only time really against Everton where we actually carried a real threat.
Yeah,
We
I
saw
know.
obviously Benny hit the post. He was really unlucky not to score. Cornet brought a great
That was
save
very
out of
lucky.
Begovic. Both real live wire players who can make something happen in and around the box and who really trouble defenders. But he'll only use them like almost out in when there's nothing left to lose, when he's kind of really chasing a game. And it seems to me that the approach from Moyes is, let's try to not be losing at half time. And then in the second half, eventually I'll start to introduce maybe later on some of these more attacking players, and maybe then we can go and nick it 1-0. And
Yeah.
it's just, to me, it's just not the way to approach these games, because if you look at the players we've got, I mean, the potential first 11 that we can put on the field, there are goals there. There is attacking flair there. There is a
There's
threat.
goals everywhere. There really is.
There's goals everywhere, and he just won't go for it. He just sets up too negatively and too tentatively. And my worry is that because he's under pressure now and there's so much at stake in this game tomorrow against Wolves, that his natural inclination will be to just remain cagey. And first and foremost, let's just not lose it. Let's try to not lose the game.
Yep.
And so it's unlikely for me that he'll go out and be expansive and go for it and do something really positive and attacking. I think he'll be his usual cagey self, unfortunately.
I think you might see tomorrow, to an extent, because we're at home mainly. Everton, obviously, these previous clubs, maybe a little bit of attachment there. But if he's not worried for his job, which maybe he should be, it shouldn't be. I'm not in the game,
He
right?
should be. He should
Right.
be.
But you kind of think yourself, well, even if it is the same team, you've got to see a different approach from the players. If they
Do it, Des.
either
You can have a smoke.
no worries, if they want to see him stay, the players first and foremost, and if he wants to keep his job that much, because okay, you know what, play the same players, play the Suchiks, play the Fornals at left wing back, do whatever you want to do, but make sure it works. Make sure the fans, not entertainment like flair kicks, tricks and all that sort of stuff like he thinks we want. Really, that's like I think he feels pressured to produce, but just at least give us something to see that the players that you are picking are good enough to make a difference.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Luke. If he picks the same kind of 11 that he put out against Everton,
it's gonna be carnage.
he's taken a massive gamble, because if we get the same kind of performance and the same kind of result when he's put the same team out, he's banging trouble. Because I think even at board level he's going to be banging trouble, because it shows a stubbornness, an unwillingness, or inability to change it up and do something a bit different.
I think there'll be one, because Antonio he didn't get a private jet back from Jamaica this time. He took EasyJet, so he's going to be jet lagged. So I think there's a tap in there for David Moyes. Skamaka's going to go straight in. He can't upset
over the bar.
Yeah, he can't. But he can't upset Antonio, which I think I still believe that he's got this. I think he's so kind of loyal to these players. I don't know why.
Managers do that though. I'm starting to realise, purely because of this situation that Moyes is in, and when I watch, like, I don't know, TalkSport clips or this clip here, this clip there, it is basically a carbon copy of that type of manager, and it's what they do. They are loyal and they know their thing. They don't really change. This is why a manager's lifespan at any club is about 4 years max, especially at the Premier League and the way it is, right? There's to an extent, everyone knows, most people know that watch this channel, I'm not a fan of the owners at all, right? To an extent, as much as they might want to go, right, we'll give him 4 games to save his job and stuff like that. But in my opinion, they did tend to get a bit lucky, because they brought him in at a time when he was the cheapest option going. And in a way, to an extent, we were kind of lucky that he went, yeah, I'll take the job back on. I've got unfinished business at West Ham. I saved them once, and I'll come back and do it again. So now it's going, right, well, you are bringing in almost 200 millions worth of players with the guy you brought in to do the certain job. I don't honestly believe in my heart of hearts that they brought him in to save us and then get us European football. I think in a way they think, this is going well. We'll stick with this. We'll stick with him because he's not doing. Oh, hold on. He's doing really well with us. We're getting really well, we're firing you. Well, okay, didn't do it really well. So now it's got to the point where they've gone. We maybe have brought in these players under the guy we didn't think would take us this far in the first place. But there is also something that's been said, and this was said quite a few years ago, I think, with certain managers when the assistants go, and you realise how much the assistant made the manager, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I think it actually happened under Ferguson. I think when Ferguson lost, it was Carlos Queiroz, I think the
Carlos
Portuguese.
Queiroz.
Yeah. When he left, Ferguson said, "I wasn't the same person. I wasn't the same manager as I was when he was."
Yeah, and Steven Gerrard's finding out the same thing at Villa.
Yeah, and it's with a lot of characters leave, that makes a massive hole. I'm not making excuses for him, but it does kind of go, well, when you haven't got this person, that person, and then
Do
there's a bunch
you
of
not find it shocking that because you're talking about someone who's left Ferguson? Sorry, like somebody who left Ferguson after a period of time, but he's been back for sort of this is his 2.5 years now, and there's a constant. It's like a fucking revolving door. He can't keep anyone near him. And it's almost like the excuse is, I'm too far away from home. What, a fucking drive up the M1?
Yeah,
I mean,
I did say this a little while back. It does seem a bit suspicious.
It's a bit suspicious, isn't it? And do you think he does take advice? Do you think he's that type of manager?
Well, he does, but I'll tell you why. It keeps. I don't know why it keeps coming up on my Facebook feed and Twitter feed and every now and then.
Yeah.
Fornals saying that he'll always thank Noble because when we played Liverpool about 2 or 3 years ago, I think Moyes wanted to make us up.
Yes,
but he didn't know who to bring on, so he went and asked Noble. Now, I'm not going to hate on Moyes for that. I mean, a lot of managers probably do that. We don't know about it. We always think, oh, he's a genius for bringing him on, but whereas actually it was X, Y, Z behind him saying, "Okay, bring him on." But that was the first time I thought, hold on, Moyes didn't know who to bring on, and he's got to get Noble to go give Fornals a chance. This isn't a pre-season game. This isn't where he's experimenting. This is a Premier League game against one of the big boys. I'm thinking maybe that all these little things, they add up after a while when they go, maybe he's not the man that there's been a lot of things in the last few months that have gone on and in the last year or so that doesn't add up.
I think as well, actually, Luke, that there's, we talk about the evolution of a team, and I know that there's the old cliche of, if you stand still, you go backwards. And I think that is true. I think we have moved forward this summer as regards recruitment. With 8 players that I was really happy with. Good signings, a lot of money spent, and this should have been the season where Moyes kickstarts that kind of revolution at West Ham, because he's even spoken about it himself. Moyes, he's aware of this himself. He's been around long enough. No, and he said himself about the evolution of the team. He said, "Okay, I had to kind of get things a certain way to steady the ship, which is, become dogged, become difficult to beat, bully teams a bit. And it served us very, very well. But even he is aware that you have to evolve the team, and you have to become more than that to continue to progress. And that's why when I saw all these signings coming in the summer, albeit a lot of them kind of coming in late, I thought, okay, I can see that this is the evolution that David Moyes had alluded to before, that we're going to change up the style of play a bit. We're going to become a bit more attacking, a bit more expansive, and try to kind of move ourselves onto that next level. Now, the next level obviously being, I don't mean getting us necessarily into Champions League football, but ensuring that we continue to operate in that kind of top 6, 7.
That should be the aim for me personally.
And so I was quite excited to see what that was going to look like. And so it's bizarre to me that we just haven't seen any of it, that he's actually just doing the same thing he's been doing since he took over. It's the same players, the same approach, the same kind of cagey, negative approach to the games. And so that's what I'm disappointed about most. I thought it was going to be different this season. I thought this was going to be that next phase. And I think he's got to bite the bullet now for his own sake. It's not like, look, I don't want to see a manager sacked. I'd love to see Moyes turn this around. I'd love to see him just bite the bullet and say, okay, we're going to be more expansive. We're going to be more positive.
Don't you want to just see him fight? I don't want to see him leave with a whimper, at least, because if he keeps on fucking doing what he's doing, he's sleepwalking towards the exit door. Just give it a go. Just try, because what he's doing at the moment isn't working, is it, Tommy?
No, absolutely not. And you just wonder what's it going to take for him to have, I suppose what alcoholics would call a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
Where he just wakes up to it
Cheers.
and realizes.
I had a few myself today, mate. Don't worry
Nick.
about it.
But yeah, you wonder like what is the breaking point for David Moyes, if there is one, where he realizes, okay, I just, as much as I have loyalty towards certain people, like Souček and Sofal and Bowen and these people, that I've self-preservation is going to kick in. And he's going to say, I've got to bench them. I've got to be more expensive. I've got to attack teams, because a lot of the teams that we will play, we do actually have a better team than them.
They do. I think the issue is, Tommy. The issue is, sorry to interrupt. I think he's in self-preservation mode.
That's my worry.
This is the thing. I think that this is him trying to survive. Do you know what I mean? I think he's trying. I think he's trying to stick with what he knows, and it isn't working. I think he's in trouble, mate. I do, honestly. Because I think if he does, clearly he doesn't trust anything else, and if he does make mass changes tomorrow, I worry that he doesn't believe in it. And yeah.
Well, I think we'll know a lot more about that, Nick, tomorrow at 4:30.
Yeah, absolutely.
The underwhelming thing about managers, really, a lot of managers, especially of his ilk, being a defender and defensive manager, is that they do tend to go for jobs they know they're not going to really be expected much of. They know they're only going to be there for a few years, do a job, get in, get out. And I know Moyes said a project was a long-term project, but you don't know in his head how long that's going to be. For some people it's 10 years, for some people it's 3 years. That's the other side of it. It's funny though when people say about fighting for your job. I was recently watching a BT Sport. They was doing an interview with Sean Dyche. And he was saying, when I parted ways with Burnley, and the interviewer said, "How does that actually work? How does it? They always say on the like Sky Sports News, so and so has parted ways with the club. What goes on?" He goes, "Honestly," he said, "it's from his experience, it's casual. Basically, you have a few weeks build up of rumours going around, then it becomes a bit more like reports. The players all know what's going on because their agents are telling them what's going on. And on the day that actually happens, you basically he got pulled into a meeting like over a cup of tea and saying, right, it's not really worked out, has it? No, it hasn't. Right, here's all your staff, here's everything, thanks for everything you've done. And then basically you're almost getting the new manager almost walks past you in the hallway as you're coming out to get to your car and leave. And it could be one of those things where Moyes kind of knows he's out the door.
We know that process, Luke. You know when the board feel it's time to come out and give the manager backing, that is a clear indication that manager's position is being discussed at board level, right? It is. But what they're saying is, we've discussed it, but no, we're giving him our full backing. The initial message that they gave 2 weeks ago was, no, 100%. He's our man. He's not under any threat at all. He's a right man to get us out of this situation, which he's not, because this is a different situation, because he's come in to fix other people's messes before. This time, he's got to try and fix his own mess. It's a different fucking job entirely. You can come in to someone else's mess, give players clean slates. You see very basic things. Look, running stats are low. We'll get them up. We'll get the players fit. There's things that you can fix easily. This is a different job that he's got to do here. But then the message changed. So the message that we've seen just recently from Matt Laws and was very much along the lines of, yes, there was a few nice comments in there, but they basically said, he's got 4 to 5 games. We've got expectations. He spent a lot of money. I mentioned Scamacca, I mentioned Paqueta, and that was clearly a briefed message from Matt Laws. That ain't something. The way it was worded, it was structured very differently. It isn't something he just made up. That's someone's giving him a message to put out. So it's very different. It's very different now. It's different. So he's under pressure. Even in 2 weeks, that message has changed.
Yeah, the mood certainly at board level seems to have changed.
Yeah,
which is understandable. I think any employer, if you're working for some multinational company, and they put you in charge of a project, and they back you with a lot of money, they expect results for that money, and if the results as you're going along on this project are poor, that you're going to come under pressure quickly because no
Yeah.
one likes having their money wasted. They want results.
No.
And I think the money that was spent, the players that has been given this summer, has put him under a certain amount of pressure. And so I think the patience will be quite thin. I really do.
I'd say pressure is a big thing.
But so the question becomes, I think, how much do the board expect over these next 5 games? Because what I don't want us to get into is a situation where he keeps just doing enough to stave off the sack, where he's just picking up just about enough points. So it's not quite bad enough for them to sack him, but it's still quite uninspiring, and we're just still kind of ticking.
Don't you hate this? Don't you hate this 3 and 4 game bullshit? Because clearly, what that means is the board have made their mind up. But what they're doing is they're waiting for definitive proof, so that they don't get any backlash from fans and stuff like that. Right? He's lost 2 or 3 games on the bounce. Now we can sack him. If they've arrived at a point where they think, because for instance, right, the games that we've got coming up, we've got Wolves. Wolves is the winnable game there. Out of all of them, Fulham are a good team. Yeah, right, they're good on the ball, off the ball. They're a better football team than us at the moment. They're more of a team. So if we can't beat Wolves and we play poorly against Wolves, let me ask you, what is the fucking point in keeping him for Fulham? In all honesty, what if we play poorly against Wolves and we don't win against Wolves? What is the point? I don't really understand it, and I don't think he will. I think if, heaven forbid, it goes badly tomorrow, I don't think he'll survive it. I don't think he will. The only chance he's got, like I say, I think if I was to see, even if we lost, but if I was to see him try something new, get the new players in, try and play a different style of football. You know, we play really good football, but we leave ourselves open. We get hit at the back. We lose 1-0, whatever else. But we play some good football, you know, really, really exciting stuff. Yeah. That type of thing there, I think that would make everyone a little bit more relaxed, because at this stage of the season, right, points, yeah, we need points on the board, but we're not in a relegation battle yet. What we need to see, not yet. We're not. But what I'm saying is, we don't need to scrape 3 points against Wolves at this stage of the season at home. No. We don't need that. You know, we're not desperate yet. We need to see him progressing. And I sometimes wonder, because I don't think David Moyes is reading the room. I think sometimes he looks around at the fans and he doesn't understand why everyone's unhappy.
It's a bit like the old, if you like, Allardyce with the hand, but a less arrogant. It's almost more like naive. It's like you can't understand, but then there is the arrogance in the off quick comments in post-match interviews. Yeah, say, why do you do this? Why do you do that? And he's a bit like that.
Well, the 4-4-2 one where we're talking about playing 2 up front. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. And he's got. Well,
dismissed it and went, yeah. Well, the fans will say that when things ain't going so well. And you're like, all right, mate. Yeah, okay.
I'm not.
That's what I want to see tomorrow. Is more than anything at 4:30 when the team comes out. I mean, I would love nothing more than to see a 4-3-3 where you've got Kerr, say, at right back, Dawson comes in at centre back, where you've got Downs, Paqueta, Rice in the midfield, and where you've got Carney, Benrahma, Skamaka, as the front 3, and then we go out and we really get after them. Where we go to score goals and win the game, where we go out actually with a little bit of pomp and a little bit of self-belief to say, you know what, we think we're better than you. And we think we can go out and score more goals than you and beat you. And that's really what I want to see. Yeah, and that's the frustrating thing. I don't want to go back to it again and over-repeat myself, but I just hate seeing Moyes constantly set up like we're playing against a better team every week.
But the issue is, when people talk about playing a passing game, and possession and stuff like that, that comes from not being able to retain the ball. Is all about the personnel. Soufal, Souček, can't pass for fuck all. The minute the ball goes to him, 9 times out of 10, it's going to break down. So if you put players in the team, even if you can't coach a passing game, if you put players in the team that can pass, that have got technical ability, you've got more chance of retaining the ball and making something happen. Because make no bones about it, Wolves have not been good this year, but you know what they've got? They've got technical players. If we put cloggers in the team and we just keep on giving the ball to them, we won't see the fucking ball. We'll be constantly chasing it. They've got really good technical players. So when you've got the ball, you've got to be making the most of it yourself. Otherwise it is what because I don't think the smash and grab will work against Wolves, because I think that they'll mitigate against that. I think they're defensively they're okay. Yeah.
As this is a Wolves preview, we spent 15 minutes doing Moyes bashing again, which I'm pretty sure we've all done our own videos, and we could go on this for hours. But should we just ask the people in the chat to put what they think the team's gonna be tomorrow from Moyes? I mean, look, I would say
their predicted teams, what they think Moyes is going to pick.
That kind of along them lines. Because I would personally say I'll eat my hat if he changes the formation and plays the players that we all want to see play, but then I'll become a viral hit for all the wrong reasons. So I don't want that. But
I'll tell you what, Luke. If he puts out a similar team to the one at Goodison, I agree with Nick. I think his goose is cooked.
He's got to be gone after that, because that shows no progress whatsoever. That shows that he's looked at nothing in the last 2 weeks in an international break. He hasn't taken a look at himself. I think what you said, Luke, earlier on, and Tommy, you get the impression in these post-match interviews that he's not displeased with the performances. That's the worrying thing. That's the worrying thing.
Moyes, from what he's saying, thinks we're playing all right and we're just being unlucky.
Yeah, I know. But I think the main one for me. Should we? I'll tell you what. Should we just give our preferred starting 11s for tomorrow? Fuck Moyes. Let's say what we would do tomorrow. Right. So go on up. Yeah. Should we do that quickly?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Right. Okay. I'll go first. Right. For me, I'm going to go Areola in goal. Not because Fabianski has been poor. Okay. Because he hasn't, and not because Areola has been great. Because he hasn't. The worry is Areola is going to lose his confidence. Areola's a keeper of the future. He's a main one. Get him in there. I think he's a more talented keeper. He's got more distribution. If we want to keep the ball, get him in there. Right back, we've just seen it for Germany. Get fucking Soufal out of that team. I think he's damaging to West Ham at the moment. If you look at the stats prove it. He is damaging to that team. Okay, so we've got to get him out. I think we'll miss Kehrer in central defence, but by putting Kehrer at right back, who now we know can play and he can get forward. Remember, he's crossing against Tottenham. He's got a bloody good delivery on him. That means that we can get one of our goal scorers from set pieces in the team. We can get Zuma and Dawson back together. So partner them two back up. The big conundrum for me at left back, if we're playing a flat back four, is Cresswell or Emerson. I'm still going to say it. People are going to shoot me down. I think Cresswell's better defensively than Emerson. I do. I think Emerson's better going forward. But then I would go, as you just said.
Do you worry, Nick? Because here's my worry on the left back. I agree with your team so far.
Yeah.
Okay. At left back, I think I might actually plump for Emerson. I just worry about.
Yeah, I get that.
Lack of pace against Podence. I really do.
Ooh, that's a good one. He's a right-sided player, isn't he?
Yeah, Podence he could get cooked by Podence.
Yeah. Okay. I'll change my mind.
Yeah, I think the pace of Emerson might actually be very useful against Podence.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, all right. So I'm going Emerson then, left back. You've changed my mind.
Fair enough. Happy days. I'll stop you there, and we'll just bring in Luke. Keeper and back. Are you going with the back four, Luke, or are you swapping?
I think we kind of got to at this point. I don't rate. In a harsh way, I don't really rate Cresswell at all at anything. I think he did a couple of years ago or a year ago, crossing wise and free kicks at pieces, he was fantastic. This year, I can't see him beating the first man. I will mention though, and I don't think Anton will forgive me, and he'll call me out on this, but I did put into the West Ham Network group, I think last week, that I think it might be an idea to play Souček at centre back.
Fuck no!
I know.
Get him out of the team. No way. Why? Why would you put Souček at the back? You're doing a four now. You're doing what Moyes does, just to get one of your favourite players in the team. You're putting him in at centre back.
The specific reasons I said I'm going to get cooked for this, but I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest for this, right? Right. The geezer can't run, right? So take him out of the needing for run midfield wise, right? That's gone. No technical ability,
mate.
So he hasn't got. Hold on, just hear me out, please. Just hear me out, right? It's only I got to defend myself on this poor, mad moment that I had. That within seconds I was just put down and almost kicked out of the group.
Are you still believing this now?
No, but if he's going to play, just play him somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Right, okay.
But anyway,
ahead of Dawson or
Ahead of
Oggy.
Dawson or Zuma or Ogbonna.
Right, calm, quiet. Let the pilot
That's
speak.
brilliant.
Right, a minute.
Go on,
Right.
go on.
So he's good. He's good in the air. That's one of the only things he's got going for him. So heading things out won't be a problem for him. And he could be a target from corners. He could be the new Dawson.
He
right?
could be shit. He
Well,
could be shit in defence as well. Yeah.
Yes, I know. But all I'm saying is that if Moyes is going to play him, which he more than likely will, let's be honest.
No.
Take him.
I'm not. I'm not.
Moyes.
I'm not having that.
Where's
I'm not
Gary
having
when
that.
I need him? To
I'm
back me up when-
honestly, I'm fed up with square pegs in fucking round holes. It's all right doing that when you ain't got players in them positions, but we've got Dawson who can come in. We've got Ogbonna.
I know.
No,
I know.
no.
I know.
I
But
understand
he's
what you're
going
saying.
to play him. He's going to play him somewhere.
No, Luke, we want your team. We want your team. What's
I don't
your...
want Luke Steve.
Sorry,
Not
right.
anymore.
Ario.
Forget Moyes for a minute, Luke. Honestly, when we're done with our teams, we'll get on to what we think
Okay,
Moyes will do.
right.
So just for right now, just give me your keeper and back four.
Okay. I did have a liquid lunch, so maybe that's catching up with me now. Ariola, Kera
Yeah.
at right back.
Yeah.
Not Suchik at centre back, don't worry.
Thank you.
Dawson, Zuma, Emerson.
Yeah.
Am I cool to go onto the midfield? Yeah, you're right. Okay, no one's having an heart attack. No one's left and unsubscribed just due to my ridiculous. Anyway,
No. The numbers are
not.
going up. I think the word's spreading.
Well, that's good for something then, anyway. That's
Yeah.
good for something. Downs and Rice in the midfield. Paqueta as a number 10 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Ben Rama on the left. Cornet on the right.
Yeah.
And Skamaka up top.
Yeah.
Right. So you're sticking with the 4-2-3-1. What's your formation, by the way, Nick?
Do you know what? Does it really make much difference between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1? Because if you looked at the way if you looked at the way Paqueta played anyway, he drops deep. In the last few when he played in the 10, he was dropping quite deep anyway. We was playing with 3 in central midfield. It just so happened that in addition to that, our wide players, Bowen and Fornals, were double fullbacks. So we was playing 5-3. It was that's the way that we was playing. So what's this? When people say we lost this. Yeah,
I wanted to touch on this because I agree on this. We didn't lay a glove on City.
It really
and
annoys
everyone
me.
was making the excuses after the game that, well, it was City. I don't care. It was another tepid, negative performance. And
I'd rather lose.
Chelsea was the one for me. That first half, they were there to be got at.
Do you know what it was for me? It was the first half against Villa.
Yeah. Oh,
that was absolutely shocking.
But when he played Skamaka up front and he literally had no one anywhere near him for 60 minutes. But like I said before, Skamaka might as well just been standing there spinning an advertising board. He was on that pitch. And that was when you saw Skamaka's body language change, right? Because what he did was when he took Skamaka off, he then changed to a formation when he threw some other attacking players on, went for the game. And he went for a system whereby Skamaka would have probably benefited.
We always do that. We always play the opposite system.
So you basically you've stuck him up there as cannon fodder to do fuck all for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
Just
honestly.
to prove a point.
Yeah.
So sorry, your midfield, Nick.
Well, same as what I said earlier on. I like the sound of the 4-3-3. And the thing is, I think if he's ever going to do it, correct me if I'm wrong. Typically in the past, even when Wolves played, they either played a 4-2-3-1 or they played wing backs. We typically match them up. We've done that in the past. We always seem to just
and Wolves are going to have the 3.
They'll do 4-3-3. That's the way they've been playing all season. So we could see a 4-3-3. And yes, I would love to see Paqueta in that just Paqueta in that team, whether it's a 10 or an 8, whatever. But with Rice and do you know what it is? It's Rice to have somebody next to him with some level of competent ability. No, I'm being serious now because I am being serious now. And do you know what? I will accept Suchik has he's not always been this bad. I mean, that's what I mean. This form that they've got for the club now, it's now bleeding into their international games because Suchik was always really good and reliable for the Czech Republic. Not that I've ever watched him, but apparently he's one of their best players. But this international break just gone. Apparently he's been terrible. He's been awful. I think Krau he got higher ratings than him in one game, which is ironic.
Did you hear I watched the video. I can't remember who it was. Can't remember who done it. Might have even been a Carrot Booze video. I'm not sure. Crowell was a bit of a character at West Ham. He was a joker.
It was
So
bad.
that,
It was bad the way he's treated. Moyes is so cold to players he don't want.
yeah, another character that's gone out the door.
Yeah, and that's yeah, I know. Is that right? Was Crowell was a bit of a lie?
Apparently there was a reporter or there was a coach or someone was talking to Safal, Souček and Crowell.
Yeah.
And he was talking to, I think, about the three of them all playing for the same country in the Premier League and how they're finding it. And apparently, I think Souček was quite quiet. I think Sufal was I might have got this wrong. I just remember it. Sufal was trying to talk very normal, the classic footballer type, just giving straight answers. But then Crowell just kept cracking jokes in the background. Crowell was
look at his hair. He's got to be a fun guy, hasn't he? With hair like that.
Sideshow Bob.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just die Moyes die. But yeah, he's,
I'm going to keep this on track. So your front three, sorry, Nick, was who?
Right, my front three. Benny on the left all day long. So Benny on the left. Scamacca will play anyway because, like I say, Antonio's flown EasyJet back from Jamaica, so he's gonna be knackered. We've all flown EasyJet.
Holidays, mate.
Terrible. And I'm going to go Cornet on the right. If we make enough changes, if we were to drop Sufal, if we were to drop Souček, if we were to not play Fornals on the left wing, I'm not saying drop Fornals. If we was playing central midfield, I'd be over the moon. But if we were to not play in there, then I wouldn't be. Bowen's the player that I wouldn't mind if he played, even though he's not been great this year. We know what he can do. And I do think that he could have been affected by that absolute duffer of a player behind him this season. I do. I think he could have been affected by that. That right-hand side that's got to be the worst right-hand side in the whole Premier League this season so far. Sufal and Bowen, the most out of form, ineffective, wasteful right-hand side of any team. And like I say, I don't know. Sufal's got to come out. Just Johnson's not fit isn't a good enough excuse. Fuck it, play Cornet there. Try something else.
Well, yeah,
I'm not joking. Why not?
It does make sense because Cornet was a time the left wing back.
He plays anywhere. Cornet plays anywhere. He's an adaptable player.
Modern
just
footballer.
Anyone. Just play anyone there. The guy he can't pass the fucking ball. And it's dangerous. So get him out. Get Souček out of that team and get one of our far better central midfielders in the middle of the park. Might give us half a chance of keeping the fucking ball. And it might prevent Declan Rice from being overrun constantly because you've got Souček meandering upfield and doing whatever it is that he does, waiting for it. No, it's what he does. Though, but he just sort of meanders upfield. He just sort of wanders around. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
And I agree with you. I think if Bowen is to play, and I believe he will play, I would like to see that dynamic between him and Kerr. Kerr is a very clever player.
Class.
I think Kerr is a very intelligent footballer. Yeah. I love intelligent footballers. I can't stand footballers that haven't got a brain in their head.
No.
And I think Kerr is a very intelligent footballer. And I think, him and Bowen could strike up a really good understanding down that right-hand side and be really good for each other's game. So I'd love to see
Kerr's, I mean, the only thing that I would say is, because obviously I've said put Kerr out on the right, but we would undoubtedly, although Kerr has not been a perfect centre-back this year, he's added, I think, levels to the way that we've defended with his passing. I think we'd miss that, and where we want to play a passing game, I think what we've both got to accept, and sort of questioning myself here, is that if you play Dawson and Zuma, they're both a pair of cloggers, aren't they? They are, aren't they? They don't mess around. They'll bypass central midfield.
I think to an extent, the Aguerd, if I pushed his name, I apologise. The Aguerd injury, it set Moyes back with what I think he thought was going to be. He was the main defender. He was the guy that was going to come in, was going to rally the troops, was going to be the guy to spray the passes around from the back. And when he got injured, I think that was like, oh shit, this is like probably the worst timing for us to get, that he was like the new defender, then the new guy at the back, and Kerr's come in, and I think done half of what we kind of thought Greg was going to do, because the two of them, the centre backs, would be fantastic.
Yes.
They both seem like the sort of intelligent centre who can work with each other. Zuma to me is like
but Zuma has got better, and since the Brighton game, Zuma's really upped his game. He's been good.
I've nothing against him as a defender doing the Dawson type role of clearing the ball out. I think he loses concentration a lot. I think he's lazy with tracking players.
I think you can see why Chelsea have let him go, can't you?
Exactly.
I'll tell you what it is. Where I am with Zuma, I think when we play a kind of a deeper line, and Zuma basically kind of has everything out in front of him.
I'm going through this wine. Hang on, sorry.
I think he's really good, Zuma. When everything's in front of him, and we're playing a little bit deeper, I really worry about Zuma when we play a higher line, because he's got a habit of going walkabout.
Yeah, he does.
And wandering.
He switches off as well, doesn't he? He does.
He switches off. He wanders up the pitch, and he leaves a massive gap in behind him. Kerr conceded the penalty because of that, actually, because Zuma had just gone missing completely up into the midfield, and Kerr had to scramble across to try and cover the space that he had left in behind, and ended up, unfortunately, giving away a penalty. So I think Zuma's fine when we play a deeper line, but I think in games going forward, in games where we actually plan on playing a higher line, I would actually swap him out. At the moment, I would play Oggy rather than Zuma. And when Aguerd is back, I'd play maybe Aguerd and Kerr. When we're planning on playing a higher line, especially if our opponents have any bit of pace.
Well, he's got pace. He's got pace as well, Aguerd, isn't he?
Yeah. So I would swap Zuma in and out depending on whether we want to play a high line or a deeper line. To be honest,
I don't think Zuma should be looked at as the first name on a team sheet where the defence is concerned, because he can't even walk on two legs at times. He just gets injured, goes down at least once a game to get treated.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. So part of me thinks that he's playing on that sometimes a little bit, because he knows he makes mistakes. He's
genuinely not. He's carrying an injury. He can only play one game a week. He has to get.
No, I'm not saying he isn't. I'm not being harsh on him. I'm just saying that sometimes, when you go, I could stretch for that.
Apparently, he can spin the bottom of his legs 360 degrees. He can. He's got funny knees.
Well, I don't necessarily score a few goals like that then. Maybe I should a bit more interesting.
It does.
So just for posterity, I've got a 4-3-3.
Sorry, Tommy. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. It's fine.
Overpass.
We'll ramble. It'll flow the way it flows.
I reckon this is how David Moyes selects his team. So I reckon he just gets his backroom team in as a drink, and then goes, "Who should we fucking play?" And then they forget who they've chosen, and that's why they end up picking the same team again, because they go, "I can't fucking remember. I can't remember who you said we was going to pick." For this one.
No, I think we're largely on the same page, Nick.
Yeah.
I actually put this team out on Twitter days and days ago because I had nothing else to talk about West Ham wise, really. But I've got Areola in goal as well for the same reasons as you. Also, Fabianski is retired from international football. He hasn't played any during the break, and Areola's played twice for France in that period. I just think he's going to be that bit sharper as well, and he does have better distribution. I'm sick of Fabianski just hoofing the ball out over the sideline, or just hoofing it to an opposing centre back,
playing it out at all, and just holding on to the ball.
I know.
So I've got Areola in goal. Same, I've got Kerr and right back again for the same reasons. Because Sofal for me has just been horrific, and I think he's an absolute liability to the team at the moment.
It's a shame.
So I've got Zuma and Dawson. Like I say, I was thinking, do I go Oggy because he's a natural kind of left-sided centre back, so we can kind of leave Zuma and his right-sided centre back role for a little bit better balance. But in the end, I plumped for Dawson because I just love his threat from corners. I mean, he just attacks everything fearlessly in the box on set pieces, and I think there's always that possibility that he'll come up with a goal for you, which he's already done this season in Europe, albeit.
He was only on the pitch for 5 minutes, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see him immediately just attacking the ball.
You literally know he's going to get to that ball, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I've gone with Dawson ahead of Oggy.
Doesn't matter.
And I'm still not convinced about Oggy's fitness, to be honest. I still don't think he's probably 100% right. So, and at left back, I've gone for Emerson simply because of the pace of Podence. I think Cresswell could get cooked in behind by Podence. Will run at him all day.
So looking at the comments here, Anton's just posted, ideally, I think we need 7 changes. So based on the teams that we've selected, how many changes is that? So if you go with the back 4, all we've done is we've shifted, we've taken Soufal and Cresswell out of the back 4. We've changed Areola, that's 3. We've removed Souček, that's 4. And we've taken Fornals from the left. And Bowen, that's 5 or 6.
And we've got Skamaka.
And Skamaka, so that is 7. So that's 7. That's a lot of fucking changes, isn't it? But you know what? That's about right though. When you look at it, how many players? If you look at Moyes' typical team, right? Antonio has played well this season. I don't care what anyone says. I think he's been one of the better performers, but he's jet lagged. Bowen out of form. Soufal out of form. Fornals square peg, pointless. Not out of form, just used in the wrong way. But yeah, pointless. Cresswell, I don't think Cresswell's been terrible this year, but I think we can do better there. Souček in the middle, out of form. So you're looking at 6 players there, 5 or 6 players in that starting 11 every week that are underperforming. How can Moyes actually expect us to compete when you keep on playing that volume of players that are clearly out of form? I mean, we've seen Southgate do it with Maguire, with 1 player. Imagine doing that with fucking 5 or 6 players.
Yeah,
that's how bad it's been.
Yeah, and the annoying thing about it is, it's not as if the players that he can bring in have shown nothing.
No,
Benrahma's form has been really good, really good.
Brilliant.
I mean, Cornet, when he's been brought on in the Premier League or when he's played in Europe, has been in sparkling form. He's looked a huge threat. Skamaka's shown that he can score goals. Scored an absolute rocket of a shot in his last game in Europe. That's a striker's finish. Struck the ball brilliantly into the roof of the net, went from 20 yards. So these players are showing what they can do and what they can bring to the team, and still he won't throw them in. And tomorrow that's got to change. It just has to.
But you know that David Moyes selects particularly forward players, I think, more based on what they can do off the ball defensively than what they can do on it offensively.
Yeah,
I think he does. I think he does.
Right.
Yeah, I think he will base it more on that. I've got a striker, but he's shit in front of goal, but he's really good at defending.
To put it into employment terms, he wants a bunch of dock workers rather than artists.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that, as long as it works.
Well, no. But the issue that you've got now, Luke, is that we've now got these cultured players. Okay, so when Moyes first came in, he did what he did. He's got these players on board. Now, look, Fornals is a cultured player, but he's also a team player. Fornals will do whatever job you ask him to do. Ask him to play in goal, he'll go in goal. Yeah. He's that type of player. I think Bowen's the same. Antonio's the same. So he gets these characters of player that will basically sacrifice their own game, if you like, and what they're probably good at to be a cog in this David Moyes machine. But the issue that you've got when you try and play, you get different types of players in that have got to where they've got in football through expressing themselves and being good at what they do. Now they're playing for a manager that says, no, fuck all that, stop all that. I don't want you doing that anymore.
Yeah.
I do.
Really.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've got. I mean, how can you get in players like? I think it was the England-Italy game. I didn't watch much of, but in the build-up to it, there was a guy in there that was talking about their coaching staff, and they were saying, "How have you got them playing such good football?" And he said it's really important when you get good. It was talking about attacking players. When you get these attacking-minded players, you have to back them in their ability. You've got to encourage them to express themselves, and I can't ever see Moyes doing that with any player. Can you?
No, I think he'll probably try to turn Paqueta into another Fornals.
Yeah, and that's what he's. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So
I'm trying to think back to when Everton had their best team under him. I was probably too young to really know exactly who exactly played for their side, but I'm trying to think of players who were not only hard workers but also technically gifted. Because
Well, Tim Cahill was one. Tim Cahill
Pino.
worked very hard.
I think
He was
Pino
tough.
is the one
He'd
I'm
get
thinking
stuck
of.
in, but he was also, he'd make those raids into the box. Cahill was a huge player for him.
You guys will probably know more than me. I'm not calling you old. I'm just saying
What are you trying to
experience. Experience. I did use a nicer word. Um,
Diplomatic, well done.
Yeah.
Did Everton ever look under him? Did they ever go? They're having a bad season this season, or they're having a bad start.
Yeah, they were just efficient, mate. But you know what? People keep on harping back to that fucking period with Moyes and Everton. The Premier League was so different then.
Yeah,
it was so different. It's so much more. But what?
Comparing
it's
it,
so.
I'm just saying.
No, what I mean is, that's what I mean. You can't. People do though, but you can't because it's so much more competitive now. Look how much money every Premier League team have got now. Every Premier League team, fucking Nottingham Forest have just spent. They've outspent us this season. They've just come up. Right, every Premier League team have got a lot of money. There's a lot of investment there. It's different now. You physically can't risk standing still. And I think what David Moyes did in January, and I still, even if he turns it around this year, there will be a part of my heart that broke in that January transfer window, because that was probably, and I'm going to say it now, that was probably the best chance of us getting in the top 4 in the Champions League that we're probably ever going to get in the next 10 years, 15 years. And he fucking sat on his hands and did nothing. And I am sorry that was bollocks, because in football you've got to take opportunities when they present themselves. He didn't.
No, I think you're right.
That was a massive frustration for everybody, and I think he absolutely dropped a bollock on that one. I don't know if he regrets it. Or wonders what might have been, but I think we really missed an opportunity there. All right, this is something else I wanted to bring up tonight before we go, and I'm gonna throw the cat amongst the pigeons here on this one.
Not going to finish early, Tommy, are we? I'm on a session now.
We've only done an hour and 15 minutes.
I've still got half a bottle left. Hang on.
All right, well, I'll tell you, we'll keep going until you finish that, and then we'll call it. Right, I'm going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons.
Turn red. Go on.
I'm going to throw a cat among the pigeons here, and I want to hear what the live chat think about this as well, and I will bring up your comments from the live chat on this one.
Is this going to be along the lines of Souček in defence?
No.
Okay.
That's going to be nightmares, Luke. That is, honestly.
Nightmares.
Yeah, that one's going to be messing with my head for a while, Luke.
My job here is done.
Obviously we've seen today rumors, shall we call them, or reports that there has been some level of discussion from the club with Mauricio Pochettino. Now, whether you think that's really happened or not, we're just going to assume for a moment, for the purpose of this exercise, that this is true, and that there is an agreement largely in place that Pochettino is willing to take over at West Ham, and that, we've spoken about terms and kind of transfer budgets and all that stuff that managers and clubs will talk about when they're looking to bring someone in. And let's say there's largely an agreement in place that everyone likes on the contract, etc.
Yeah.
And Pochettino would be willing to take over from David Moyes.
Yeah.
If you had someone lined up like that, while no other Premier League club right now are looking for a manager, would you pull the trigger right now on Moyes and make that deal?
Sawn off shotgun. God, I would do. Yeah, I would. No, it'd be gone if you can get Pochettino in now. 100%. I did a video earlier on this news, and I was trying to stop myself from, because it's been quite negative lately. And I was extremely buoyant and happy with this, because this, for me, I see this as positive news. I do, even if it isn't entirely true, which I do think. I do think there is some truth in it. I do think that West Ham have been going out, putting feelers out for other managers. Okay, it doesn't mean that we're going to get Poch, but I do believe that they've touched base with him. But the fact, what that means is that West Ham now, as a club, are not going to accept us being where we are at the moment. So David Moyes either pulls his fucking finger out and gets us moving up that table, or I think they're going to move on. They're going to try and do something else. So I think it is positive, and it isn't an anti-Moyes thing. It's not. And I've said this before, and this is what we get.
It's a bit.
It's not anti-Moyes, mate, because I don't support Moyes. I don't support any manager. I support West Ham. If we've got a striker up front that is underperforming and bad, if I've got a right back like Soufal, who was great at one point, but not now, I want him replaced. Now, it's the same thing for a manager. If they're not performing, if they're just the manager, they pick the team. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, that's what they do. They set the tactics. If it isn't going as well as what it should be, you spent a lot of money, then I am sorry. And I would, at this stage, if we was to part ways with David Moyes now, and I mean this sincerely, I would thank him very much for what he'd done, because I think he's laid fantastic foundations. We've had 2 great seasons, and he's left a bit of a legacy behind. He's done a great job. He's done more than just do a disaster recovery job. He's done more than that. But if we can go out from this point and build on those foundations that David Moyes has set with a better style of manager that is more adept to this part of the league, and that can take us on. What is wrong with that? When you think about it, what is wrong with it? It's either going to work for him or it's not. I don't think it's going to work. I don't see in David Moyes what we need from David Moyes personally. That's my take.
Yeah, Luke, where are you at on that?
Sorry, but I started running. Worst time.
Would you do it? Would you do it if you could get Poch right now? Would you do it?
No.
Yeah.
Oh no! Honestly,
it puts Souček in there for a session for.
Why not? He could give him a chance. There's 3 main reasons why. Right. First of all, there's 250 odd people watching this video right now. Actually, it's a quick little question for the chat. Genuinely, right? How many people wouldn't have him because he's ex-Spurs? Just want to know that.
No way. I'd have him because Spurs love him and they would hate us having him.
Yeah, but Nick, this wasn't a question to you. This was to the 250 odd people.
I'm trying to affect some people making this.
Don't. It's just got to be an unaffected thing.
Okay.
Anyway,
sorry.
Be professional. Second of all, I think Moyes does deserve to have these 4 mega games or whatever you want to call them, the last saloon. The other thing with Pochettino is, we're talking favourites here, right? With Moyes and playing the same players and stuff like that, right? Pochettino's biggest opportunity with Spurs, Champions League final against Liverpool, right? The man who got him there, really, even a lot of Spurs fans' eyes, was Lucas with the hat-trick against Ajax, right? Done all the hard work. They wouldn't have got through without his goals, right? Kane, I believe, was injured at the time, which is why he wasn't playing in the semi-final or along them lines. And for the final, Kane was fit, Lucas was dropped, and Kane didn't score, and Spurs lost the game 2-0. Now, he's gone to PSG, and he's couldn't handle it, basically. I think, in fact, if he did go to West Ham, I think in the first 5 seconds, all the players would be going, what's Bessie like? What's Bessie like? What's he like as a guy? Which is nothing wrong with that, but it'd just be like, get over him. Ronaldo's better. But he played good football, so I think the fans will take to him in that regard.
Brilliant football.
Right, so in a way, potentially, because who we signed, he could really potentially get us to a level we've never even been at because of the players we brought in the summer. Paqueta would be, the South American flamboyant guy under him, but I wouldn't do it now.
Would you wait until Leicester hire him and then try and do it?
Leicester, behave. Come on. Brendan Rodgers is still there somehow.
You got Villa, you got Leicester. There's loads of other teams in Europe, right, that are all going to be looking for. And this is the thing: what you got to remember, what we've got coming up. Okay, this is on a serious note. What we've got coming up is a very unique situation in this season, whereby the season's split in fucking half. And what happens is, I think you're going to have a situation in that World Cup where a lot of teams are going to be holding out, and if any changes they're going to make it in that period, because then whoever comes in, they're not going to have the congested fixture pile up before the World Cup. They're going to have almost a full pre-season. But the issue with that is, if you leave it to that point, you're playing tug of war with the best managers, because everyone's going to want the same people. So if you're going to do it and you want a top manager, strike while the iron is
I get that.
hot. That's what I would say. And going back to Poch, what he did with Spurs, with all due respect, he made the wrong decision in that Champions League final. That was ridiculous what he did. But if he'd have played Lucas and left Kane on the bench and had have lost it, everyone would have been saying,
You live and die by the sword.
No, what I'm saying is,
they would have said you should have played Kane because Kane's the world class
they'd
striker.
have said you should have played Kane. So that's what I'm saying. But he did get him to the World Cup. He did get him to the Champions League final. David Moyes couldn't even get us to the fucking Europa League final over 2 legs against Frankfurt.
Yeah, I think.
So I am sorry because we completely choked in that.
Yeah, I think
we did.
You're right.
I think opportunities present themselves, and I think you may only get
mood, Luke.
Yeah, you may only get one chance at this. You may only get one opportunity to get Pochettino, and this may be. If you pass and give Moyes more time, I think you'll live to regret it. I think you'll look back later on when the time has passed and you can no longer get Pochettino, and maybe when you eventually do sack Moyes, the options aren't so great. Maybe the kind of managers you'll be looking at have been signed by other clubs at that point who have sacked their managers.
So Tommy, are you saying your thing? You would let him go?
If we could get Poch right now, I would do it because I think this is about West Ham. I understand entirely people saying Moyes deserves to have a few more games because it's what he's done the last couple of seasons. I completely understand that perspective. I understand even people, if we did do it, saying that's a bit harsh. 7 games, maybe give him a bit more time. I completely get that, but I think
am I allowed to vote in the poll?
I think when opportunities present themselves, you've got to take them. I really do, because I think over the coming weeks, not just ourselves potentially, but also teams like Leicester, Villa, could be Wolves, could be looking for a manager. And I think
100%.
Yeah, and I think if the opportunity does present itself that we can get Pochettino, I think we have to do it because it's the right thing to do for the club. And ultimately, for me, what's the right thing to do for the club is more important than what's the right thing to do for David Moyes. Yes. It's got to be club first, always.
This is my point, right? When people say, Tommy, and they put the argument out, David Moyes has got credit in the bank. If anyone deserves time, David Moyes deserves time. Yes, he does. We can't argue with that, right? He has earned time. He's definitely, he has. But is that the right thing for West Ham when you can see it's fading like this? Do you know what I mean? He's definitely earned it by definition because he's done so well over the past 2 years. But does he deserve it? Yes. But at this stage, is it the right thing to stick with him to see if he can somehow pull it around, even though you can see it hopelessly failing?
Yeah, can I just point out that comment from Mandy G, 271 and only 15 votes, 271 people. No one answered my Spurs question, so I'm well out of the running here. So
one of them was mine.
50, was it? I don't know. Was it?
Yeah, I've done it.
Oh, well, I'm 14 then.
Am I allowed to like my own show, or is that pretentious?
I always like my own show.
Oh yeah.
I don't actually. Never do.
Yeah, Toby, I just have to comment. Toby, I'm sorry, I just don't buy all that. Grass isn't always greener on the other side. I'm sorry. It's
a valid point because the fact of the matter is we are all, let's be honest, if you're not happy with Moyes, even if you're not happy with Moyes and you want him to go, you're still going to be shit scared with what Sullivan and Gold do next because they don't have the best track record, do they?
Yeah, well, this is true, but I think if it were Poch, if he was willing to
all day long.
I think you've got to. But I mean, I suppose we can expand on this a little bit. Even, let's say the worst comes to the worst, Moyes cannot turn it around, and he does end up getting the bullet. I mean, who realistically, outside of Pochettino, we don't know if he would or wouldn't take the job. I quite like Thomas Frank, actually, at Brentford.
Yeah, definitely.
I really like his philosophy on the game. I like the way he sets the team up. I think he absolutely would jump at the chance to move from Brentford to West Ham. I think Brentford would let him go. And yes, we'd have to pay them some compensation, but it's not big money. I mean, look at Brighton only got 10 million, so from Chelsea. So we're not talking big money.
Is that all they got for Potter?
10 million quid, yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
It's peanuts, so if we were to take Thomas Frank from Brentford, it would be less than that.
Because he would have been my number one choice, Potter.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. Yeah, if we could have done that.
I
really like. I think of the realistic targets. If it's not going to be Pochettino, who would be my number one choice, I would love Thomas Frank. I must say.
Headphones. I would personally like to. I quite like the idea of going for a young, unproven manager, just for future sakes. The other side of the coin is where we're actually heading, because we're not looking to survive relegation. We're not looking to just stay mid-table. We should be trying to qualify for the top four. I would look at getting, and if I've got his name right, Ange Postecoglou. I think the
Celtic. Yes.
There was a chat here.
That is a good shout. That's a good shout.
The reason why I think it was on the there was a chat. I think it was on the gift.
No, Toby.
I don't mind Sean Dyche. Quite like to drink with
bad
him,
Toby. Stop it.
Yeah, someone take that hammer off him. There's a chat in the other day, I think it was with Budgie and someone else, can't remember his name now, but they were saying, I think it was the guest was saying about, we mentioned him, and I didn't realise his record as a manager is actually really good. I don't think Celtic fans wanted him when he was first appointed as Celtic manager, because they thought they didn't know really, they thought it was the owner's choice and it was just down to his own choice, not a footballing choice. But he's actually got a pretty good, decent record wherever he's gone, and apparently Celtic are playing really good football under him, and they're absolutely not that it's unlikely to do it, but he's running away from the league.
He's impressive, and he's definitely will be looking for a Premier League move next. And I do think you're right. Yeah, that's a really good shout, mate. Honestly, it's not someone
tonight I have messed everyone's head up by saying Souček in defence, and I've ravelled it around. That's even Nick being positive about my choice. So I've
Postecoglou is good, but the Souček one was bollocks. So Luke, I can't have that.
Yeah, you've had a mirror there, Luke. You've had a mirror there, mate.
Look at the positives, boys. Look at the positives. I've come back. I've redeemed myself, and I've come back. So we can all just get past that now. So yes.
And look, I know. Just to finish up, I know. Look, obviously, tonight's show there's been a lot of negativity, particularly about David Moyes, and I know that will rub some people up the wrong way. I guess maybe we're all a bit doom and gloom at the moment, but I just want to point out. Look, I really like David Moyes as a person. I think he's a really honourable man. I think he's a good man, and I do think that he does have a lot to recommend him as a manager, and I think the way he has steadied the ship for us and brought us to the point that we've been at, which is still, a semi-final of Europa League, some incredibly memorable nights, a 6th and 7th place finish in the Premier League, something we never thought we would get from him. Let's be honest. So, I think he has done a lot of very, very good work at this club, which I'll always be grateful for. And there is a part of me that would love to see him throw the shackles off and just go for it and be more positive, put out more expensive teams, and start that revolution, or evolution that he spoke of. I would love to see him turn it around, because I like the man. So I don't want to be completely down on him, like I can't stand him or anything like that. Okay, I might disagree kind of on his philosophy and the way he approaches the game a lot of the time, but if he turns it around and we really improve, and he gets the right players on the pitch, attacking players, and he gets them going, and we start winning games and start moving up the table, and we start scoring some goals, I'll be happy for him. I really will, and
I will.
I won't begrudge him that, but so I don't want to be completely down on the guy.
I won't be that sad if he does get sacked either, because what we all keep on forgetting with these managers is he's got a contract on $5 million a year until 2024. If he gets sacked, he gets what's that? A £12.5 million handshake at the end of it, and he'll be moving on to get another job. So let's not beat about the bush. It's not poor. If it doesn't work for him, it's not like he's going to be going and signing on, or anything like that. He's made a lot of money. He's done very well. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not poor David Moyes. It's not.
If he was in the pub, you'd have a drink with him, wouldn't you?
I'd have a drink with him.
You'd offer to buy him a pina colada, and he'd go with Newcastle Brown Ale because that's just what he's like. And he doesn't like straying away from that. No shots, no Jaeger bombs.
He'd drive home in his beige Saab as well.
Oh, I feel sick.
Yeah, well, I suppose unfortunately. Unfortunately, I'm skeptical about his ability to change or to pull us out of this. Certainly not to the degree where I think he should avoid the sack. I mean, look, we're obviously just on the law of averages. We're going to win some games. We might win tomorrow.
Yeah.
But again, I think it'll just be largely the same team playing largely the same way that nicks a win. And it certainly won't be inspiring, in my opinion. That's what I'm expecting.
What is it they say about a 40 clock?
Yeah, exactly. It's right twice a day. So
that's the thing. So
unfortunately, I'm not optimistic.
Every now and then, it's going to happen.
And the problem we have now, I think the board had an opportunity to make a change at the beginning of the international break. And the problem we have now is we've got games coming thick and fast in October. I mean, it's going to be, Sunday, Thursday, Wednesday. We've got Blackburn in the cup. Sunday, Thursday. I mean, the games just keep on coming. So if you give it 3 or 4 games now, you're bringing a manager in right in the thick of it. I mean, he's going to be right in at the deep end.
That's a good question here. Look, coming in now. 4 Premier League games, Tommy.
Yeah.
How many points minimum will David Moyes need to save his job?
What do you reckon? Mean in my opinion, or you mean in my opinion?
No, look, in the real world. In the real world, the next 4 games, you've got Wolves, you've got Fulham, you've got Southampton, and then we've got Liverpool. What does David Moyes need to get from those 4 games to realistically save his job? What do you reckon?
I think he's probably got to get 8 points to be given a bit more time.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair, to be honest. Because when you look at it, you've got to be winning against Wolves and Fulham at home, haven't you? I suppose out of those 4 games, you've got to be getting.
I said 7.
You reckon 7?
Yeah, Liverpool's a write-off because he won't really give it a go against them.
Yeah,
which again stipulates why he probably shouldn't be in the job. But anyway, by then it could be a different story. But win your home games, get a draw.
Southampton away is always a bit tricky, isn't it?
Because they never know when they're going to turn up and when they're not.
No.
They're a strange team as well. So get your home games won, get a draw against Southampton, and then just give it a go against Liverpool. You ain't got to win the game. It's unlikely anyone wins at Anfield. But saying that, Klopp's under pressure as well. They reckon that he could be getting a sack purely because Nunes is a waste of a signing, which it doesn't seem like a Liverpool signing at all to me. But there you go.
Well, that was where I heard the guy's name mentioned earlier on. I'm going to try and pronounce it like you did just now. Postecoglou. Did well there.
Yeah,
did well there. There you go.
Well done.
That's it.
But Wine clearly giving you some good speech.
Yes. He was linked with being Klopp's long-term replacement. I read that earlier on.
How old is he? Because he looks
about 80.
Looks aged. Glasgow has not been kind to that.
Yeah, but no, he's not. He's not an old. He's quite a young, fresh manager with good ideas. But I've seen Celtic play a few times this year, and they're knocking the ball about really, really well. And if you read the reports on him, he's a real forward-thinking manager. So why not?
It bodes well. So
it does.
For me, 7 points. Bottom line.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we're all in that ballpark. Where if we're talking about the next 5 games, I mean, there's 15 points available. So I think he's got to be. For me, he's got to be up around. I'll be honest. I think from those 15, he's got to be up around 8 or 9 points. I think. To keep his job. So
absolutely. No, that's Yeah, it's nerve wracking tomorrow, don't it? Because I think, like you said earlier on, Luke, I think there's an awful lot of people that, and you know what? I don't think we should negatively profile people like this. And this is what we've got to agree on with David Moyes, even whether you're Moyes in or you're Moyes out. David Moyes has become quite a divisive manager to the fan base. He has. You probably what was the last one? Sam Allardyce. I think he was pretty similar. He is a divisive manager. There's some people that love the comfort blanket that they think that he provides, and there's others that look at it from the outside and they just don't like what they're watching. And it is. I don't think he's overly healthy for West Ham. I mean, you've only got to look on social media at the minute, or even what do you think is going to happen tomorrow in the stadium? So let's talk about that. So tomorrow in the stadium, we're 10 minutes in. David Moyes
before that, just to say before that, the minute that team comes out, and if it's a team that majority of fans don't like, even before the game kicks off,
it's going to be
a negative atmosphere.
It's going to be negative.
So he can help himself by getting a crowd on his back, on his side.
It's going to happen, isn't it? That's the thing. That is going to get toxic over there so quickly. It really will. And that's the thing. Even the people that support him in the end, and it isn't because people are fickle or anything else. You've got some people that make their minds up quickly, and you've got some people that are just a bit more patient. That's all it is. They can see it; they're not blind. But some people are just a little bit more patient, and they're willing to wait.
It's like me and you, Nick. That's the classic examples. Obviously, you've had enough, and I'm still willing to give him time.
I've had enough. I've had enough.
Yeah, I think. I think if our approach. I think if our approach tomorrow is negative, if it's the same kind of tactical approach as we saw against Everton, I think the fans will very quickly become disillusioned with it. And I think we will be the concession of one goal away from the crowd turning.
100%.
Yeah, I think there'll be some groans in the crowd. If we're doing like we did against Everton, we're sitting back, they've got all the possession, we're not getting any attacks going, we're not getting any shots off. The crowd will already have their backs up, and I think if Wolves score, I think that will be it. I think that will be the moment where you'll start hearing the boos.
Yeah, it will. Unfortunately, that will happen. Whether or not, like I say, I think as Luke says, he can kind of. The main thing that the majority of fans are going to be pissed off about pre-game is if he just does the same. If he does the same thing again, if he does that, he's mad. As far as I'm concerned,
he's not mad. He's arrogant. That's for me. It's an arrogance. He's going, well, the fans don't know what they're talking about. I'm the qualified manager.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to go right. Well, as long as the fans like me, that's all that matters, because that's not how they think. That's not how these managers. The managers know a week before they pick their team who they're going to pick. Training is just a formality. Honestly, I've always believed that. I know players get told a day before the game happens. They get told who's going to be so they prepare and stuff like that. But the funny thing about it is that when Moyes first come back to West Ham and they asked him, "What do you think of the West Ham? How have the West Ham fans taken to you since your second return?" He said, "I like the West Ham fans because they're demanding. I'm from Glasgow. I'm from a demanding place. They don't hold back. They just say how they feel. And West Ham fans want a team that works hard and a team that wins. And that's what I want to give them." That was when he first started. So now, like in life, you have your positives and you have your negatives. So when we were doing really well, he was getting all the laudits, and now he's getting the negatives. He can't just be like a spoilt kid in the sweet shop. He's been told he can't have any sweets. He's just got to sort of say, well, you know what, I've had it good. Now they've demanded I change. And this is the classic thing with football and arrogance, is that it's all right when it's going fine and everyone loves you, but the minute it goes wrong, you can't just be like, well, I was good.
And ultimately, Luke, do you know what? And that's the thing. Do you know something? With football, it is a fucking popularity contest. You do need people on your side, especially when it's not COVID and people are in the stadiums. You do need people on your side supporting what you're doing, unfortunately.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I've been thinking about that last couple of weeks a lot. I think it's all gone south since Ellen Irvine left.
Big time.
I think Ellen Irvine was massively important to what we were doing and the success we were having. And I think since he left, the wheels have come off for David Moyes. And I don't think he can put them back on, if I'm completely honest. I think Irvine was a lot of what was successful about us behind the scenes. Moyes was getting the credit, but I think Irvine was doing a lot of the good work, if I'm honest.
The brains.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do. I really do. And that's why I'm pessimistic about Moyes being able to turn this around, and why I think he won't be here for very much longer. I think since he lost Irvine, I think he's a bit lost.
I'll tell you what, Warburton's been a great fucking appointment, hasn't he? He's had a good effect since he's come in. Do you think that could be an issue? Do you think David Moyes selected Warburton, or is it?
I don't think he did.
Or was he dropped? Was he dumped on him? Because there was rumours that Sullivan was looking to take over Birmingham, and Warburton was lined up to be their manager. So,
pretty got nice sandwiches.
He doesn't. Warburton doesn't feel like a Moyes.
I prefer Kingsmill. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, Warburton doesn't feel like a Moyes appointment to me for some reason.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it was Moyes, if I'm honest.
They needed something to come in, but classic. This is classic of the owners. You get the cheapest geezer in, and nothing against Warburton at all. But you look at his previous, where he's been previously, and nothing strikes you that goes. Apart from maybe Rangers. Rangers is probably quite a, that's got to be a massive club. But I don't think they were in Europe at the time he was there. No. Well, they could have been. But he was coming in to play more attacking football, and that was the gist of it. And so far, it's almost like he's just done a Rob Newman. He's come in, and you're thinking, well, what's he here for? Is he just clock in and clock out again? Because doesn't seem to be any input from him. So we might have to wait another 6 months to another year for him to have his input, which isn't going to be fast enough. So this has been said before. We've said about Pochettino. We've said about Postecoglou. We've said about other. I've said his name right again. I'm proud of myself. Other managers coming in. Could be Warburton. Could be. You just don't know.
I've heard he just loafs about, mate. He's kind of
end this now. End this now. While he has no more wine.
No, that would be a nightmare. I don't want fucking Warburton. Well, that can't happen. That could never happen. Thing is, when we was in Europe, do you know at the start was it against Viborg when Moyes was banned and he couldn't manage the team? That was what's his name? Billy McKinley.
That's the one.
Billy McKinley was the one that was in there managing the team. So would that not have been Warburton if he was the second in command?
What was the one where Skamaka scored the goal? I think and they panned to Moyes in the box, and he was just miserable. He'd scored. Like, oh, for fuck's sake! Did he have to score? Did the new striker have to score? This is just classic. Bruno did that once, and he got lambasted. Moyes got away with it. So
I know. No, I do.
Yeah, I think tomorrow evening we'll have a much better idea. After the game at the final whistle, I think if we lose that and we stink the place out, I think Moyes is fucked at that point. I really do.
100%.
So it'll be interesting to see if he sticks to his usual approach or if he does something and surprises us all and actually goes out trying to actually win a game.
Well, the crowd will have a huge bearing on that. So, if obviously his position is already under question, he's under scrutiny at the moment. You know that he is. We know what's been spoken about already. But if we were to lose and there was an awful tragic reaction within that stadium, that isn't going to help Moyes' cause either.
It could be the final nail in the coffin. The sort of thing that this is where
they're not going to want to go back to them days before, are they? What they had,
This is where the fans, because I always I'm a season ticket holder, so when I go to the games and the players run out, you get Declan Rice running straight over to our end of the stadium and clicking up, and you got all the 60,000 shouting if unfair blowing bubbles. There's a part of me that goes, how can as a player you not just get pumped with adrenaline because of this crowd going for it? And then you think to yourself, well, if a team doesn't want a manager to be there and they know he's going, and they go within 30 seconds of the kickoff coming, they down tools and go, right, that's it, game plan. We know he's going. Let's not even try. That really gets my goat. So, Rice has been captain this year. Hasn't been in my opinion, has been a very underwhelming captain.
I
for us.
can't blame Rice.
I'm not blaming Rice. I'm just saying that he's not been the captain I thought he'd be. I really think that he's been affected by Noble leaving and other little things here and there.
He's still got that dipshit next to him in central midfield, though, isn't he? That ain't helping him. No, I'm not joking.
No,
mate.
I know you're not joking.
I'm not joking. He's in central midfield.
You've
up
reminded
against
me, which made me laugh.
He's up against Premier League fucking central midfielders. And yeah, what do you want him to do? Well, he's being overrun. And like I say, we've just explained. We've agreed tonight. You've got Fornals, you've got Downs, we've got better options, better footballers that are more naturally suited to that position. And I'm sorry, and this is the thing that frustrates me about Moyes as well. We've spoken about this on our shows. Okay, he's done it with Antonio when Antonio was out of form. He's done it with Souček now. Souček was rightly lauded by the fans. He was Hammer of the Year. Souček and Soufal came into the club at the right time. They were exactly what we needed. They were the right players at the right time. But then what he does is he doesn't help his players. Sometimes you need to take them out the fucking firing line.
Yeah.
Protect them a little bit. Wrap them in cotton wool when they're clearly it's not working for them and the fans are getting on their back. He just keeps on playing them, and it gets to a stage where it becomes untenable, where it's almost like what is he going to wait for with Souček until every single West Ham fan hates him before he takes him out of the team? Is that what he wants before he takes it? Is that good management? Is that David Moyes looking after Souček?
No, he's the guy that Moyes looks at him like, right, he's the guy that I brought in that changed our fortunes, that made us better in midfield and scored loads of goals. He's my guy. He'll get me out of this. Or there is also the point that Moyes doesn't care himself. He's like, this is my team. Like it or lump it. While I'm here, this will be what you get. If it wins, it wins. If it don't, it don't. You might all buy all your players, but they'll play when I want them to play. They'll play in the Conference League, which is a league I don't really care about. And to a point, I don't think he really does. I think he's had the Europa League. He's got the Conference League now. People want, but there's Brendan Rodgers out there who forgot he was still in the Conference League last season with Leicester. That's how big that competition was to certain managers last year. Mourinho won it. Who's very much plays the same style as Moyes. Maybe Moyes could be the new Mourinho if he gets us to the final. But there's a lot of aspects. I think that it doesn't really. Moyes has sort of gone, well, I've given it a go. We had a good season last season. If we do well, we do well. If we don't, we don't. And it's a bit of a lackadaisical attitude. It's uninspiring. So to a level, we've gone to the Pellegrini days, the uninspiring Pellegrini days. He just sits there. He doesn't say anything.
Massively uninspiring.
So, and I am going to wrap it up in a minute. So on that note, the final question I have for you guys, and I'll start with you, Luke. What do you think is going to be the result tomorrow?
Cheers, Tommy.
What are you expecting? Are you expecting the same old Moyes or something new? Or are you expecting good performance, bad performance, good result, bad result?
I think the West Ham do that thing where they start looking back on a year ago or 2 years ago, don't they, when we beat a certain team at home, or when we beat, this time 2 years ago we beat Wolves 4-0 and stuff like that. I always sort of tend to look at those and go, well, we won't repeat them. I always predict the win, so I'm going to predict the win. I'll kind of got in my head 2-1. I'd like it to be 3-1, to be fair. Let's get a few more goals in. Diego Costa, I think he's either going to start for Wolves or he'll be on the bench for him. I think he's.
I don't think he'll start. I expect he'll be on the bench.
Right. Well, he'll definitely score because he likes to have a tumble with.
He'll either score or get sent off.
He ain't played for fucking ages, is he?
Doesn't matter.
Not since January.
Doesn't need to play
since January.
Mate, Dawson will take care of him. He will.
I'm just saying. I can see somehow Costa getting on the score sheet.
What's happened to the other one? The geezer Banderas with a face mask. Is he going to be playing?
What you mean, Jimenez?
Yeah, him. Yeah.
Banderas. He's not a movie star. Yeah, Jimenez. He, according to our preview that Anton did with Talking Wolves guy. Since he had the head injury, the horrific head injury, I think he's done amazingly what come back from, by the way. He hasn't been the same player. I think his instincts apparently are a little bit lopsided. He's not not the same striker as he was. But then again, those type of players always score against us, so he'll probably score. So I'm going to change mine from a 2-1 to West Ham to a 3-2. Come on, West Ham. Let's get a win. Let's
You're
keep Moyes
expecting
on the job. Let's keep Nick drinking wine for video on video.
You have.
Yeah, you're expecting a lot of goals from two teams who've scored
I always
6 goals between them in their
Well, it's
combined
perfect time
14 games.
perfect time for them to start putting the ball in the back of the net. So yeah, I always predict goals. I always predict wins most of the time anyway. So I'm going to stick by that. Not going to choose goals for us because if Suchek scores a hat trick, I would love to see Nick's video after the game. It'll be fantastic.
I'll be my best player ever. It will be. Yeah, I'm that fickle.
What do you reckon, Nick? What are you expecting tomorrow, Nick?
A shit game. I'm expecting a shit game. That's what I'm expecting. I think it's going to be so bland. I think you've got two players there. If you're Wolves, right? We're both the same team at the minute. Yeah, we've all got talent. You know, Wolves are too good to go down. West Ham are too good to go down in terms of personnel. But you've literally got a situation where it's the best time to play both teams. You know, but where both managers, is it Bruno Lage, isn't it?
Bruno Lage, yeah.
Bruno Lage, yeah. And you got Moyes. They're both in their shell at the minute, and you just need someone to grow a pair and go out and go for a game. If I was Wolves, for instance, let's look at it from Bruno Lage's point of view. This is a perfect opportunity playing away from home. You come out and you get on top of West Ham straight away. Give it 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Get on top of the team. You know that the crowd are going to turn. This is the worry. Okay, that is what I think that they will do. And I can see. Well, if they don't do that, they're fools. I can see it going bad for West Ham tomorrow. I can see it going bad for Moyes, irrespective of his personnel, because I think there's a problem there in terms of morale. I don't think it really matters what personnel he picks. I've got to be honest. I think there's something wrong. There's something rotten there. It doesn't look right at the moment. So I don't. Although he does need to be dropping players that need to be dropped, I think the problems are running a little bit deeper than probably how we're analysing it. I think there's something not quite right there. I think it could turn quite bad if we don't get our own way quickly. If we don't get a goal in the first half, for instance, I think we're playing into their hands. They've got technical players. They will play a passing game. I don't know. I think we're going to lose. I think we're going to lose tomorrow. And you know, it is sad. You'd expect me thinking because I'm Moyes out to be happy with that. I'm actually not. It is sad. It's frustrating. The guy's fucking annoying. I've been praying and begging and pleading for that guy to just come out and do something different and make changes and bring some of these new players in. I don't want him to fail, but he's failing.
I thought of the perfect analogy
he's
for
failing. Okay, he
for
is.
Moyes' job. It's like when you go to McDonald's and you want a milkshake, and they say the milkshake machine's broken.
Yeah,
it's been broken for 5 months. Let's hope the milkshake machine is working tomorrow.
That's so
disgusting.
disgusting.
I think.
Vanilla milkshake, mate.
I think this is going to be quite a tepid affair. I think these
1-0 Wolves. I'm going, by the way. Sorry.
Thank you.
The main part of the question.
Yeah, I think these are two managers who are under a lot of pressure right now and who desperately need a result. And I think who mostly desperately need to not lose another game. And I think both of them are going to approach this in a cagey, safety-first fashion. Just try not to lose first and foremost. And that's why I think it'll be quite a tepid affair. Like I say, two teams, we've both only scored 3 goals this season. Both teams in 7 games. We're struggling to create chances. Both teams, for different reasons, we can't create chances because we're giving up possession far too easily, giving the ball away. Yeah. We can't get enough possession. We're struggling to get the ball upfield. Wolves play nice stuff and can move the ball about, but they've got no end product. They've got nothing in the final third. They don't create the chances they should when they get into good positions. So I think this is going to be quite tepid. I don't think it's going to be great to watch, and very low scoring. And I'll be honest, I actually think this could end up. I'm kind of wavering between 0-0 and 1-1, to be completely honest.
1-1 would be the worst possible result.
Yeah, it would. And I suspect that's what we might get. I think we'll get a tepid game that will end in a 1-1. a result which is no good really to either team or either manager. So that's my prediction for tomorrow. But hopefully,
I know you want to close it, Tommy. But honestly, can I say one more thing on this before we go?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Right, I know. Look, even the viewers are dropping off now. They're all going to bed. Look,
I
yeah, 43. Stay where you are. Right. Right. Literally. Right. What I would like to say is, you asked a question earlier on, Luke. Right. There are West Ham fans out there at the moment that would probably choose for us to lose tomorrow.
Right.
So that it could get Moyes out the door. Right now, listen, I'm going to be open and honest with you now, okay? If David Moyes sets us up tomorrow the same way, makes no fucking changes, and we set a roadblock in that first half, in that second half, I'm going to be thinking Wolves score. In the second half, I will be. I'll be honest with you. If it's different, if he shows something different, there will be a part of me that's thinking that, Luke. There will be. Because I'll be thinking, I can't cope with this shit all season. He's refusing to change. So I can understand why people will feel like that. Because it doesn't make them bad supporters. Because do you know what? We're never going to get out of this loop otherwise, mate. We're never going to get out of it.
I'm not saying I think it would be they're bad supporters or anything like that. I just think that would be that is a thought, because I've done similar. I've done similar myself when I've seen games.
And I'm saying that on air as well. I'm being honest. If he does that I will be thinking that. I'll be thinking, fuck this.
I've watched games before where we've been so poor and the team are going against us, and I'm like, not go and score, but they're going to score it.
Yeah.
And predictable, and this is almost going, but you know, you might as well, go for it, go score goal, because you might as well do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do understand it.
Yeah.
Because you want what's best for the club. You want
what's best for the club.
If you see a poison, you want to get the antidote quick as possible.
And the flip side of that, if he's brave and he puts other players in there tomorrow, I'll be fucking willing everything for it to come good. I will if he does that, and that's the thing. I think
we all will, but knowing Moyes, I mean, his philosophy will be, look, we're going to keep it really tight in the first half. If we go in 0-0 at half time, Moyes will be quite happy. Yeah. Moyes will be thinking, right, it's going okay. We haven't conceded, we're not losing, and hopefully now in the second half, we can maybe nick a goal, and then maybe in the last 20 minutes, he'll bring on a couple of players who might find a goal. If it's 0-0 at 70 minutes, Moyes will be absolutely fine with that. Tepid, tight game, and then he'll maybe spring the likes of Benrahma, might get Cornet on, bring on Antonio, and he'll say, no, maybe someone can nick a goal for me. And he'll just make like-for-like swaps in the team, rather than going two up or something positive. And so that's what I'm expecting tomorrow, unfortunately, because I don't...
That was the one that killed me. How did you react to that, Tommy, when... Antonio came off and Scamacca got brought on in that.
That's what I'm talking about. These like-for-like swaps.
I was like, fuck me. You're chasing the game. You're 1-0 down. You're 1-0 down. I'm not being funny. If you're 1-0 down, if you're 1-0 down, you might as well lose 3-0. Just go for the game. For it.
Rather lose 4-0 than 2-0, because at least you've gone for it and given us a bit of hope.
Just have a go is all I'm saying.
We're going to find out tomorrow, and I'm sure whatever happens, we're all going to have a hell of a lot to say in our reviews of tomorrow's game.
We will.
It's a massive game. Not for West Ham, I don't think, because I think we'll be fine. But this is a massive game for David Moyes.
Also, before we go, can I put you both on the spot? Are you both busy tomorrow night from between sort of 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock? You ain't going out, are you?
You're asking me out?
No. Would you like to come on and do our review? Because Gary's away. So I'm kind of on my lonesome. So
I have a possibility. I will. I'm not washing my hair, but I'm getting the shampoo out, and I might be using it. So I might be there.
All right, lovely. Right. Okay, well, I'll ask you both tomorrow anyway. But yeah,
no problem.
Okay. Listen, gentlemen, look, I really appreciate you coming on and having this chat with me. We've been going for just over 2 hours, which tells you there's been an awful lot to discuss. And we've had a lot of opinions as well from the live chat. I think a lot of them have gone to bed now as well. So we're going to leave it at that. But I really appreciate you coming on, guys. And I'll definitely have you both on again. because I
Appreciate it,
like
Tom.
listening to both of your opinions, and it's all good stuff.
Same
So
here.
thanks very much, and thanks to everyone in the live chat.
you.
Hope you enjoyed it too, and I hope you'll all join me again next Friday, 10 p.m. For the next episode of the Late Late Show, and fingers crossed we can see something exciting and a good result tomorrow, and something we can be positive about, which we haven't had much of so far this season. And until then, come on, you Irons.
Here you heads.